Hello, America. I'm Robert Reese, and welcome to the CEO Show. We're here today with Alan Rosenbaum. How are you, Alan?
Great today. How are you, Robert?
Great. And actually, as some of you will remember, a couple of years back, we interviewed Alan, and he has a very interesting model focused on the customers. But when we reached out again, you have had your best year ever, and your business is reinventing it and growing substantially. So talk about what this last year was in your business, and then we'll talk about what your model is.
Well, as you know, in business, things change all the time, and I think the best companies try to stay one step ahead. And what we've seen in the mortgage business is that as the industry has grown, different types of banks do different types of loans. So the big banks are doing the really easy loans where there's a lot of very qualified consumers that can't qualify under these new guidelines. So we can cater to all types of consumers regardless of what their credit profile looks like. And we've really been capitalizing where the larger banks are unable to do certain deals. We've been able to come in, and it's created a greater awareness of who we are and what we do. And actually, the real estate community has really latched on to us, and it's been fun.
So years ago, I used to think a mortgage is a mortgage, and they're all alike. You would probably argue with me that that's not the case. Is that true, or is it true?
Well, mortgages, for the most part, are like mortgage companies, and banks are different. Now, again, we could talk about the product for a moment. Most times when you talk about mortgages, people are thinking about what their parents were taking out many years ago, 30-year fixed-rate mortgages. Mm-hmm. We don't recommend 30-year fixed-rate mortgages for our clients. We believe that's the highest rate.
Actually, no one ever stays in the house 30 years.
Exactly. The banks love when you take a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage because it's the highest rate that they can charge you, where most clients actually stay in their home between 5 and 7 years. So we prefer to see our clients in a 5 or 7 year adjustable rate mortgage. When people hear adjustable rate mortgage, they think it's going to adjust every year. That's not true. It's usually fixed for 5 or 7 years. So that's the type of product we typically recommend for our clients.
And Alan, even let's say if you get the same mortgage from someone, are there still differences in what happens? Like if it's the same basic terms?
Yeah.
Or is it just rate? Are people just trying to get the lowest rate, or what should people really be looking for?
Well, that's a great question. Most people think that mortgages are a commodity. Whoever has the lowest rate, that's where I'm going to apply. And that's really one of the biggest mistakes that people make in the mortgage market today. Because lots of times when banks quote rates, it's just a rate quote. And you really need to take a look at who the bank is, who the mortgage lender is, what type of options they have, whereas you should get comfortable with the loan officer that you're working with, quiz them on how long they've been in the business.
Why? What does that matter?
Because not every customer's credit profile is the same. So if you work with one particular bank and they have one set of guidelines and your credit profile does not adhere to those strict guidelines, after a 6-week period, the bank may come back and say, unfortunately, we can't approve your request. Where companies like Guardhill, we're able to analyze a client's unique credit profile and make the proper recommendation of how to structure that deal and how to get that loan approved within 48 hours and closed within a 2 to 3 week period.
This is Robert Reese on the CEO Show, where we interview the CEOs who've reinvented the fabric of America. We're here today with Alan Rosenbaum, who is the founder and CEO of Guardhill Financial. So let's talk about your model. When you started in 1992, and you and I have spoken before, and a lot of people, we have 600,000 listeners, have heard this, you said, we're going to do something that no one is really doing, and you came with a different model. Describe what that model really is.
Gosh, I can't believe it's been 1992 since we started Guardhill, but my vision back in the day, and it's still held true today, was that there were two types of mortgage companies, or banks or mortgage companies. One that would offer the client the very lowest rate, where the service was not that great. The other type of client other type of institution that would offer the client great service where the rate wasn't that great. So I figured if I could fuse the two together, great rates with great service, that would be something that no one has done before. And I guess that vision, that was a great idea at the time, because we've been practicing that and improving upon that for the last 27 years.
So when you have this great customer model, let's talk about things you do differently.
Things that we do differently for
the customer.
For the customer. Well, first of all, we analyze their financial situation first. With typical groups, again, they're talking just about the rate. They take an application, they put it in with the underwriting department. Everybody hopes the loan gets approved. And if it does, you move forward and you close, and if you don't, you have to start all over. We analyze the client's financial situation. We look at their income, we look at their liquidity. We ask them how long they're going to stay in the home for. We talk about, what their past credit history has looked like. Analyzing it to make sure that they are going to get approved on the first try within a very short period of time. So we get to know the client a little bit more. It's not just a process with us.
Doesn't everyone do that?
No. Most companies, a salesperson will take the application, will quote a rate, and will then turn it over to another department who will gather all the financial information, who will then turn it over to another department who will underwrite that information.
Okay, but if you do all this time spending with the customers, you're probably just getting one mortgage from them. So isn't it not a strong economic model for Guard Hill?
Well, it is a strong economic model because we're looking for referrals down the road. We don't have branches on every corner. Our name is not on football stadiums. So the way we increase our business all the time is impressing the existing customer that we're working with, spending the time getting to know them as a person, listening to what their objectives are, and under promising and overperforming. And if you can make that client happy, well, the attorney on the deal is happy, the real estate broker on the deal is happy, the accountant on the deal is happy, then they will refer us business down the road. The customer will refer their friends, their family, their work colleagues, and that's how we grow the business, and that's our model. So it does work out, and you would be surprised at how many people do come back to us, either through refinancing their home, buying a second home, buying an investment property. So if you do things the right way, good things will happen, and that's just our philosophy.
Give me an example of a client you were with and how this model worked.
Well, we just left a client. We were a little bit late to come see you today because we left a closing where a husband and wife who we'd worked with since 2009 came back to us to refinance their home. So I think over a 9-year period, they bought their primary residence, then they came back and they bought a second home, and now they've come back. Today they happen to have refinanced one of the properties. I think we refinanced one of their other properties a year or so ago. So you stay in touch with the people and you build a relationship, and that's something that's really important to us. That's a way that we can distinguish Guard Hill from the other companies out there. So I really don't think we're spending additional time or money that's to the detriment of Guard Hill. I think it's all about customer service and distinguishing ourselves and becoming friendly with people. And the people who like you will trust you, and the people who like and trust you will refer you to others. And that's our secret sauce.
And you've grown a lot. Your locations right now are?
Right now we are in our Midtown Manhattan headquarters.
Which we're actually looking at right now.
I can see the building.
Big building, big.
So we have an office in Westport, Connecticut. We have an office in Southampton, and we have an office in Beverly Hills.
You've all the key places. What is the website if someone wants to go there?
Our website is www.guardhill.com. That's GUARDHILL.
And after the break, we're going to talk about unique practices that you do in customer experience and also in how you get customers, and I know you have some really cool ones there. And we also want to talk about CEOs, because I know that you specialize in working with a lot of CEOs and athletes as well, and, high-profile people. Back in a few. Hi, this is Robert Reese on the CEO Show. We're here today with Alan Rosenbaum, and he is the founder and CEO of Guard Hill Financial. So let's talk about your unique practices in customer experience.
Well, the unique practices really is just getting to know the customer, really listening to who they are, what they are looking for, knowing the neighborhood that they're moving into, what type of occupation they're involved in, where their kids go to school. Then tell them a little bit about the process, the timeline, et cetera, getting people comfortable. This is one of the most important financial decisions that someone's going to make in their life. We do 1,000 transactions per year. A customer might do 3 or 4 mortgage transactions in their life. So we want to get to know them and make the process easy for them, because you've heard horror stories about how difficult it is in mortgage financing. We found a way to really simplify it, and that's all through communication and preparing our clients.
And you've a lot of special things I know you do in terms of quotes that you send out to people, books you read, you send out. Talk about all of those practices.
Well, first of all, it's really more, it's to our employees in the morning.
So you're trying to get the employees to get the personal feel to engage with the customers.
Right, our team. So I do a lot of reading. And waking up early in the morning, I look up quotes that I think are appropriate. It could be for a situation that happened yesterday, or for a particular person in our company who had a little issue. So we look for quotes from Buddha or the Dalai Lama or Abraham Lincoln or whomever that might go back 200 or 300 or 400 years ago, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, that are relevant today, that make people feel good about themselves and knowing that if there are challenges out there, how you handle the challenges defines the person. The problem doesn't define the person. The way you handle that problem defines who we are. So I think it's a nice way to get the day started. And as far as well-known people and some of the books that we read out there are a lot of books about success and about leadership and about doing the right thing. So there's some books that are favorites of ours that we'll actually order, a slew of them, and then we'll send them out to particular clients, and we'll handwrite personalized notes to them. I think it's really nice.
That's actually a unique practice. How do you know which client to send which book to?
It depends on the personality. Earlier in the conversation we talked about...
You said how you know people on several levels deep.
Exactly. There's certain types of books or subjects to appeal to people. Some of them are from John Wooden, the great basketball coach. Some of them are from... presidents of the past. Some of them are from great business leaders, other CEOs. People want to learn, from successful people, and I think it's always a nice gift to share with people. Knowledge is one of the greatest gifts you can share.
Greatest gifts. So you also do this thing where you'd have these parties and you invite all these people, and you had this down to a science.
Well,
describe what that is.
I'm not sure if it's quite a science, but it's something a little unique in the fact that we try to get a group of people together over cocktails, away from, a lot of companies do networking groups. Well, networking groups happen at 6 or 7 in the morning. People are ready to go to work. They're a little hungry, a little distracted. We try to have cocktail parties. So what we'll do is we'll get a wealth manager, we'll get an insurance specialist, we'll get a real estate broker, we'll get a real estate attorney, maybe an accountant. We'll get a group together where we can introduce each other and just talk about what's going on in the marketplace. And usually we feel that the best like to work with the best, and they've really worked very well over the years. Everyone is looking forward to it. Our next one's going to be a sushi roundtable. So it's not quite. We'll do another one. It'll be a Scotch seminar. There'll be another seminar with sushi. So we're always trying to keep things a little interesting and always mixing up different people who might not have the opportunity to meet other people who can also refer them business.
And what have you found happens with those?
People become friends. We don't talk so much about business, but we'll talk about sports or movies or books or even politics. So it's fun. You just get to know people, and people like to work with people that they like. So if you start talking about your interest and start talking about other people, it's a great way to bring people together.
Yeah, you certainly have two unique practices that I hadn't heard anywhere else about. These little gatherings, sushi gatherings and scotch gatherings. And then the other is really cool about these books that you send out and give the quotes.
Well, it's something I should come up with some new ideas as well. But we have contests also in the company that we get our team involved, where we will talk about things, ways to network with people or bring people together, ideas. So again, we're better as a team. So we have about 100-something people in the company. So we have contests within the company just to come up with ideas of how to share this with others. So the next time we get together, I'll have a few more ideas for you.
I like that. So let's shift over to CEOs. I know you work with a lot of athletes and celebrities. Our audience is CEOs. What do CEOs need to know about a mortgage that they maybe don't know?
Well, that's a great question. CEOs typically have fairly standard or consistent income streams, where entrepreneurs' income streams are up and down. So usually if you have a constant stream of income, you're going to qualify with most institutions out there. We like to work with CEOs. We like to work with a lot of different people. We are very confidential. Okay, we hold that confidential information very closely, and lots of CEOs, a lot of entertainers and celebrities that you mentioned, they don't want their their private information getting out there. So they feel really comfortable in working with us. Sometimes the different companies share their information differently with others. We are very discreet with that, so they should know who they're working with, how their financial information is being protected.
Tell me an example about, you don't have to give the name, because you just said how confidential you are, a CEO, a celebrity. What was a challenge that you faced with someone, and what did Guard Hill do with your customer model that you said, hey, this really worked for that person?
Well, there was an acquisition that was coming up that would change the dynamics of the company and the compensation plan. And quite frankly, we listened to that, and we use that as a compensating factor to help that CEO qualify for a larger mortgage, knowing there was a future event coming. Most companies look in the past.
Interesting.
We were able to look in the future without giving away any sensitive information.